Genesis 1, Genesis 2. But even any historical document, there's usually an account and a summary. An account and summary. There will be a detailed account and a summary account.
Yes, I've heard the summary theory before. But they give things in a different order.
Read any book. You do a research book. You read the research book. It's first going to summarize the data, and then in the back it's going to have it detailed. And so I can't say, well, what's true? The first part or the second part. There's no contradiction in the Bible between Genesis 1 and 2. What it is somebody saying this is detailed, and then the next one somebody saying you like bringing back your remembrance. I'm making this point based on what the Bible talks about over there. I make this point, and that's all.
Right, but it's a different order though.
No, it's not. Same exact order. Tell me the different order, sir.
Well,
be careful because I cannot speak from a laboratory standpoint like you guys can. So be careful saying you can speak from a biblical standpoint like I can.
Well,
that is my expertise.
Yes, in one of them, man and woman are created at the same time.
No, they weren't. It never says that at the same time. Both accounts, one of them says that it was summarized in that when Adam was created, according to the Bible, then we don't know how much longer, whether it's the same day, next day, whatever it is defined.
Okay.
It just says God saw that there was no mate from the animals that was suitable for Adam, so he created Eve. Then the later account is referring back to that creation account and saying
okay,
when God created man and woman,
so
summarizing a time.
So if the Bible doesn't say how long elapsed, why couldn't it be billions of years?
It could be, except for that the Bible has a thing called genealogical time scales. If you ever want to go sleep at night, you have insomnia. I'm not asking you to believe anything you read, because there's no spiritual things in there, really. Read the book of Chronicles. You'll go to sleep just like that. This one begat this one, this one begat this one, this one begat this one, this one begat that one. We can use that. We can compare, like you said, with other experts, historical documents from other cultures, and say, what kind of time frame can we build? The most we can go back is 6 to 10,000 years.
How do you know Chronicles isn't a summary? How do you know Chronicles isn't a summary? Maybe they didn't have a record of exactly who was the father of who, and they were just naming ancestors.
If that is true, like you said, they were just naming ancestors, whatever you say. If that was true, it wouldn't bother me as a creationist. I don't have to slide millions or billions of years in there. I don't have to, because millions and billions of years, it came from what? It came from laboratory research, from people saying, hey, let's explain the natural world through natural processes, and this is how we can do it. If somebody come to me and they said, you know what, the Bible can be 15,000 years old, more power to them. If they said, the writings in there, the historical writings can be 30,000 years old, more power to them. It doesn't change my opinion of God in it. You asked me my opinion. If I don't, now this is where if I was talking to somebody who claimed to be a Christian, I would challenge them on this. If you don't believe the book, why do you read it? That's what I would say to a fellow Christian. I would say, if you don't believe this thing, then why are you even out there pretending that you believe it? What right do we have to start editing and modifying and injecting our opinion into something if we believe it to be perfect and infallible? I wouldn't have that right if I believed it that way.
To play devil's advocate for their position. The evidence leads us to exposition. The book doesn't seem to support that, so we must assume that, you know, the book has to be heard. Therefore, we have to interpret it, because, you know, they're seeing it the same way you are, and in some words they see it as an inerrant book. In order for it to be inerrant, you have to interpret it to fit the data. And when just to play devil's advocate, honestly, like I found science before I found God. Like, when people try to talk to me about God, I'm like, okay, well, really? 6,000 years old? And because I read science books, I've seen science documentaries, I read like a demon. Hi, how's it going?
One thing I noticed too, I was watching special PBS, which just so you know, we're not close-minded to Richard. I love PBS, Nova, and I know what they're going to inject. They're going to use words like evolution, but I know sometimes they mean adaptation. But they're going to say evolution, and when my mother-in-law watches it, and I try to explain to her that sometimes the word evolution, they're really talking about something adapting over time, but staying the same. Species is not really jumping.
That's not what they're talking about.
And I said, then sometimes they're talking about different things progressing from one species into another. I said, you have to take it in context. And she said, I just thought it all meant the same. I said, well, if I say my project at home is evolving, my remodel project, when I'm done, it's not your house. My house is, she goes, well, yeah. I said, but I can use the term loosely to mean it's progressing. She said, right. I said, so normal, what I call uneducated, as far as science education, people sitting at home, watches PBS and Nova, they have trouble sometimes understanding that there's the terminology. We're not being fair to those presenting it if we assume they mean this by it, when actually when you go back and say, did you really mean that plant was changing into a horse? And the scientist said, no. I said the plant evolution. I wasn't referring to it changing into a horse. So she gets confused. So I have to go back and explain to her. I said, when they talk plant evolution, they talk animal evolution. I said, and I would use the word evolution to describe the cosmos one time, and I don't know what your guys' opinion is, but as a free thinker, he said, cosmology has nothing to do with evolution. Evolution is biology. And I said, was I using it wrong? He said, yes, you did. And I said, I won't do that again. Because I was using a terminology. So what I do is I try to educate people. I should not assume you mean this by this or this. I need to ask you, what do you mean by that?
That's the same when I'm discussing with theists. I always ask them, when they talk about God, what do you mean by God? Right. Because you can't assume that we know what their idea of deity is.
And when somebody asked me mine, I was telling people my beliefs when they would ask me. I was telling them my beliefs long before I ever looked into any of this. Whenever this came along and somebody was presenting it to me, I was like, come on, really as a church, should we be going there? Do we need to go into the laboratory? Do we need to go in there and ruffle feathers? I didn't think we needed to as what I would call a church full of Christians. We need to go into somebody's research work and try to destroy it. I thought we were just picking fights. That's why there's a way it looked at me. And so when I started doing this, when I first started, I said, you know what? I don't want to go out and pick a fight with somebody. What I want to do is just present who I am, how I see things. If somebody doesn't agree with me, and I've been told by Christians, I'm okay to agree to disagree and still have coffee and say, you know, I met this guy named Steven in the museum. He was so knowledgeable. That guy you ought to talk to this guy. I do not have a problem. And if somebody came to me and said, you know, I know what you're saying here, but I really can't swallow it. And I would just like to know where I could go. I thought I was coming into the science museum. I'd like to know where I could go. I would say, well, there are those places around, and let me connect you with some people who could probably give you those answers you're looking for, because we can't give them to you here. That is who I am. That's who we are as a ministry. We're not out to rip somebody's legs out from under them. And a lot of times we have secular groups or free thinkers. I don't want to box people in. You know what I mean? But people with different worldviews will come in here and they'll say, well, you know, you guys are doing all this wrong. I said, it's in there. Yeah, I don't have a right to my beliefs. Well, yeah. I said, I don't have a right to talk about free speech. Yeah. I said, I didn't come to I didn't go to your website. I didn't go to your Facebook page. I don't go to your blogs, and I don't go to your club meetings. I tell you you're wrong. And they say, well, no, but you're in here. I say, well, in here it doesn't matter. I own the building. I can do whatever I want. I can dance on 1 foot if I want. It's not against the law. And they say, but you're undermining me. I'm like, no, I still refer these to you. I just say, if you're interested in the idea of God, and you're asking questions about the biblical God, that I can answer. If you say, do you have anything supporting? I say, well, yeah, I do. But as you can see with Dr. Myers, not everything I saw, he saw. But I'm okay with that, and I don't consider any less of him. I don't consider him any vindictive or anything like that. I just say he is 100% consistent with his beliefs.
I'll have to wrap up here in a second. I have one more question I'd like to end with, though. Okay, so would I be correct in assuming that your ideal of Christianity is having a personal relationship with Jesus?
Yes.
Okay. And this has a profound impact on your personal life.
It sure does.
It leads you morally and spiritually. If, let's say, somebody came along with evidence that proved that evolution was real or the Big Bang was real, you know, it was incontrovertible, and all the other theologians and all of the other Christians looked at it and said, can't deny that. If evolution is true, or if God used evolution to create humanity, would that destroy your relationship with Jesus?
Okay. So I don't base it on that. I'm not evidential. I don't, and I know it's hard for somebody as educated as your guys' group, as well read, as evidential as your group is, to put yourself in my shoes. I know, and I don't expect you to. And I wouldn't expect you to understand or to say, you know what? Because to you, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth. I am stopping. If it's the same for me, assume that